Ntebo Mokobo joins us live now in studio. Ntebo, what else do we know? Is it just 18?
Good afternoon, Bongi, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, indeed, it's just 18. You'll recall that, at some point, there was a list that has to be populated by MK Party to Parliament, and it seems they've entrusted certain individuals in terms of populating that list. And of course, the 12 members of the MK were sworn in who were not supposed to have been there. Those ones have been removed. The other 6 were to be sworn in at some point, but they were not sworn in. So all in all, it's 12 that had been sworn in and 6 that hadn't been sworn in.
So now, when it comes to the party itself, are they saying how come these ones who were sworn in when they were not supposed to have been sworn in?
In fact, they were told, those members, that at some point no one should be sworn in, but they just went there and ultimately they get sworn in.
So they defied the party?
They defied the party accordingly.
Now, this particular members then, where do they go? Do they go back to the party? What else do we know about this?
Yes, they're telling us that, in fact, they've been removed from Parliament. They haven't been expelled from the MK Party.
Okay.
But of course, party protocols or the constitution will have to be effected in terms of what actions are going to be taken against them, because they said they abused the trust of the party. At some point, if you look at the top 10, everyone in the top 10, some of them were not even supposed to have been there. They said that they entrusted them with the population of the list, but they took advantage of that trust and had to put in their friends. That's according to the spokesperson. They put in their friends and neighbors, people who were not supposed to have been there. And they said the strategy was not to even have former President Zuma in the list, but President Zuma was in the list. And that was not what they've agreed upon with these people who were populating the list.
Ntebo, it says a lot. I'm sure you've seen even on social media as well that a number of people are also raising concerns now about the stability of this political party given these developments as well.
Indeed, some people, if you look at the political machinations when the party was launched, especially when you look at the removal of Mr. Kumar at some point, people said that on its own is going to take a lot of members from the party and making it difficult to really achieve what they wanted to achieve, the 2/3 majority or even winning the elections. That on its own, you can see that despite the fact that they've worked, but they didn't get what they wanted. And of course, even the removal of the Secretary General at some point, that on its own raised eyebrows. And even now, if you look at some 18 members that had to be removed from Parliament, that on its own, it's telling when it comes to the stability of the party.
Let's get answers now. Ntebo, thank you so much for that. Let's get answers now from Nhlamulo Ndhlela, who we understand is on the line. Joining us now, he's the spokesperson for the MK Party. Nhlamulo, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. What's happening?
Good afternoon to yourself and good afternoon to your viewers. What is happening here is, let's look at the genesis of what transpired. Our candidate list leading up to the elections was compromised by individuals who were given a responsibility to populate the list according to the name that they were given. Instead, and as is the case with an organization such as ourselves, there's always going to be infiltration and people doing their own things. And they went and captured names in that list that were not reflective of the instructions that were given to them. Now, we've opened up a case also with regards to this, and we opened up the case immediately after discovering this. And this is obviously after the deadline of the submission, because we were misled in terms of the names that were submitted. People were putting in their friends, family, and even certain neighbors of society, members of society who are their neighbors. Now, let's come back now to what transpired. Leading up to the swearing in. Now, the swearing in, the members were informed that they were going to be replaced, and this is what had transpired. And they had 2 options. One, you get sworn in, and again, it's going to be at a temporary measure because you're going to be replaced, or, you are not sworn in. Majority, and in this case, all of them got sworn in. And I'm talking 12 members, okay? The 6 other names were either people that were supposed to be sworn in or couldn't be sworn in because they were either of ill health or incapacitated in some way or another. So the names that we're replacing, yes, it's 18. So there mustn't be a misconception that, we are not stable or whatever the case may be. No, we've taken this issue of the list very seriously. the members and the comrades who were sworn in, it was communicated with to them. They did receive letters. So it cannot be something of some sort of an epiphany that we just decide, to just remove people. That's not true. That's a wrong perception to leave. They knew. Because the names, by the way, that are coming in right now, the names that were supposed to be in the first place.
So, Nhlamulo, allow me to come in there, pardon me. Who are these individuals? I've got a couple of questions to what you just said. Who are these individuals who doctored the list?
We've opened up a case, and it's under police investigation. We cannot talk about the details of that investigation, other than to say we opened up the case at the Sandton police station. We can share the case number. Actually, I think we've actually shared a case number at one point. We released a statement regarding this issue. But such is the case, and that's where we're at.
And who then had given this particular instruction on which names should have been added? Was this former President Jacob Zuma, or was it the entire leadership?
No, as you know, we, throughout our campaign, we've had a strategy, one to engage with religious leaders, traditional leaders, and so on and so forth. And which is a promise we made, because we said their voices are not heard in Parliament, and our leadership in Parliament ought to be reflective of society. So that is obviously a broken promise if we don't fulfill on that. And that would be a place to start, including certain, former executives of state-owned entities that you've seen some of the names, like Montana and the likes, Brian Molefe, who are strong and who understand what we're trying to achieve here. And that's that. Nothing more, nothing less. The decision to include those people is not a President Zuma decision. It was a leadership of the party decision. We sat and we crafted exactly who and how we're going to go about it. For instance, President Zuma was not supposed to be there. That was not our strategy. Our strategy was that President Zuma was going to surface, again, surprise, surprise, at the point at which we are in power.
It seems we just lost the line there to Nhlamulo Ndhlela. As we're trying, Nhlamulo, I think we can hear you again now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. So
yes, I was saying that
you say former President Jacob Zuma was not supposed to be on the list. That's where we lost you.
No, that was not part of our. Yes, former President Zuma was not supposed to be on the list. Because we knew exactly what transpired, where we knew the kind of people we're dealing with in adversaries would obviously want to challenge this. We knew the issue of Section 47(1)(e), that all sorts of objections could be brought, which is exactly what happened. But again, when you're infiltrated, and this was a sign of sabotage, this is what happens. President Zuma was only going to surface in the same way that Judge Hlophe has surfaced.
So,
and that's that.
Nhlamulo, this speaks of controls, though, the issue of controls. If people are able to then, as you say, doctor the list and send this particular list, which culminates into people then being sworn in who are not supposed to be sworn in as members of parliament, it also speaks to controls within the party that may also be fragile and may need to be looked at.
No, I think if there's any credibility that you need to give us, is this. We, in a space of 7 months, built an organization that was able to garner the kind of support that it garnered. So we shouldn't be questioned. If you look at our people's mandate alone, which is referred to as a manifesto, that tells you the level of professionalism that we have. We're setting up an organization here. Naturally, there will be teething issues. Naturally, with any organization. But we're professionalizing this organization. The same as is the case with the posture in Parliament. I mean, we had a situation where it was time for voting in Parliament. A lot of the people that we're replacing, funny enough, didn't show up at a critical time of voting. So when it comes to professionalism, let me tell you, we are one organization that is going to professionalize ourselves and ensure that the posture and the leadership of the organization are competent enough to lead.
So are these people now out of the party?
No, they're not out of the party. No one is expelled. It's just people who are being replaced at the National Assembly, and that's that.
So where do they go to now? Just ordinary members?
They've been ordinary members. I'm still an ordinary member myself. We're all volunteers. We have an interim structure. As a party, we will make it a permanent structure at the right time, but we're all volunteers. And that's how it stays. We've had too much infiltration. People are being bought. People have been bought. We've seen too much. We've learned a lot. And we're not going to allow ourselves to be tanked with tendencies of other political parties, which you know, which I'm talking to.
So are you still infiltrated even now? Do you still have people that
Naturally.
you're worried about?
Naturally, we have to continue sieving out any elements that may be rogue. We are going to continuously be on high alert, but we're dealing with it accordingly.
All right, Nhlamulo, we have to let you go. Thank you so much for that update. There, of course, Nhlamulo Ndhlela there, that is the spokesperson of the MK party. 18 MPs have now been sacked from the party. 12 were not supposed to have been there. And, of course, the 6 are those who are supposed to be on the list. So lots of moving parts on this particular story. We'll get you more details as soon as they become available.